In the far reaches of the Orion sector, silence ruled everything. There were no planets nearby, no stars bright enough to break the endless darkness. Only drifting clouds of cosmic dust glowed faintly in the distance, painting the void with shades of blue and gold. In this quiet corner of the galaxy, even sound seemed afraid to travel. But through that silence, a vast shadow moved. It was a warship, ancient and proud, belonging to the Valari Dominion, one of the oldest and most feared empires in the known universe. The Valari had conquered more than 500 worlds. They had enslaved entire species, broken countless fleets, and declared themselves masters of war. For centuries, no one had dared to stand against them. On the bridge of this mighty ship, Beast of Arceth, stood Captain Zarthon, a towering creature covered in scaled armor that shimmered like polished stone. His eyes glowed yellow beneath his crown-like ridges. He looked at the stars with confidence, for he believed nothing could surprise the Valari Dominion anymore. But fate had prepared something different, Captain, came a calm voice from one of the control stations. It belonged to Commander Thrix, the ship's senior science officer. His many-fingered hands danced across glowing controls. I am detecting an unknown object ahead, approximately 1 light minute away, drifting between 2 nebula currents. Zarthon turned his head slowly. What kind of object? Unknown, Thrix replied. It's metallic, massive, and silent. No transmission codes. No drive emissions. No sign of life or activity. The captain's interest grew. Put it on visual. A wide holoscreen flickered alive. At first, all that appeared was darkness. Then, slowly, an outline emerged. A ship. It was dark and angular, built from black alloy that reflected no light. Its shape was not graceful like Valari ships, but sharp and deliberate, as if it had been forged for one purpose alone, to fight. Even at a glance, it looked ancient. Sections of its armor were scarred, and strange markings covered its hull, unreadable symbols from a language none of the Valari had seen before. Strange design, murmured Thrix. No curves, no elegance. Entirely functional. It looks like a weapon more than a vessel. The captain's eyes narrowed. A derelict. Perhaps left behind by some forgotten race. Possibly, Thrix said. But its structure is unusual. The hull density readings are far beyond standard. It is built from an alloy our scanners cannot identify. Captain Zarthon stepped forward, his scaled feet clicking on the deck. Begin a full scan. Thrix hesitated. Captain, should we not send a probe first? If the object is unstable, do as I command, Zarthon interrupted. His voice was calm but sharp. Yes, Captain. Thrix began the process. A blue energy pulse spread outward from the Varkath, sweeping across the unknown ship. For a few moments the data returned empty, as if the scanners could not penetrate its surface. But then, slowly, readings began to flow back onto the monitors, and the bridge fell into silence. What? Is this? Whispered Thrix. His many eyes widened as he read the results. Captain, the hull is composed of multiple layers, metallic composites mixed with something. Something beyond standard technology. Each layer seems to adapt to the scan frequency. Adapting? Zarthon frowned. How? It's shifting at the molecular level, Thrix replied in disbelief. Almost as if it's reacting to being scanned. The captain's voice turned low. Continue, yes, sir. Thrix scrolled further, and the display filled with dense streams of data. Weapons array. Reading inconsistent. At least 200 heavy cannons. Energy spikes suggest long-range plasma weapons. And wait, there are missile bays. Hundreds of them. Possibly thousands. The bridge crew exchanged glances. No known empire had ever built a ship like that, not even the Valari Dominion. Power core. Zarthon asked. Thrix's claws trembled slightly. Multiple cores, Captain. 3 main reactors, all dormant. The energy readings are faint but stable. Whoever built this ship, they built it for war. Total war. The captain's eyes darkened, and yet it drifts in silence. As they continued to scan, the system suddenly returned a small signal, a code embedded deep within the outer hull. It was faint, but distinct. A single word appeared across the main display. Titan. The word meant nothing to the Valari, but it carried a weight, a presence, as though the ship itself had spoken it with pride. "What language is that?" asked one of the junior officers. "Unknown," Thrick said. "The database shows no match." Captain Zarthon leaned forward. "Could this be a weapon left by the ancients? A relic of the First War?" "Possibly," Thrix replied, "but I detect traces of oxygen-based atmosphere inside. Gravity is Earth standard. This design suggests it was built for carbon-based life forms, similar to us. Or humans," murmured one of the crew. The word came out hesitantly, as if spoken from myth. Everyone turned toward him. Humans, a name whispered in ancient records, a race said to have vanished long ago after one great galactic war. Most considered them a story told to frighten young cadets, tales of strange warriors who fought until their enemies begged for peace. But those were myths, or so they believed. Humans. Zarthon repeated slowly. That species is extinct. They burned themselves out centuries ago. Thrix nodded carefully. "Yes, Captain. But this ship's structure and atmospheric composition match the few records we have about human vessels. Their technology was aggressive. Always designed for combat." Zarthon stared at the ghostly warship. A faint shimmer of blue light traced its outline. If this truly is human, then what is it doing here? No one answered. The silence stretched, broken only by the soft hum of the scanners. The unknown ship floated before them, cold, lifeless, and yet somehow alive. It felt as though it was watching them. Captain Thrick said quietly, "Shall I send a probe to board it?" Zarthon thought for a long moment. His instincts, sharpened by countless battles, whispered caution. There was something about this ship, something ancient and proud, that made even his warrior heart uneasy, but he could not show fear before his crew. "Prepare the probe," he said finally. "If this is human, then we will learn their secrets." As Thrix began the sequence, the ship's sensors flickered. A faint pulse of energy came from the derelict's core, so weak it almost went unnoticed, but Thrix saw it. His claws froze above the console. "Captain, did you see that?" "See what?" "The ship." It responded. Zarthon frowned. "Impossible." "You said it was dormant?" "I thought it was," Thrix said slowly. "But something in there just moved." A chill spread across the bridge, on the screen. The dark warship remained motionless, yet its presence felt heavier, as if it had awakened. Captain Zarthon stared into the void. His voice dropped low. "Keep scanning. I want to know everything." Thrix nodded, but his thoughts raced. As data streamed in, he realized something terrifying. The readings they received were not random. The unknown vessel was scanning them back. And in that moment, for the first time in years, a Valari warship felt fear. Because whatever this ship was, it was alive, and it had just noticed them. The silence on the Valari warship, VSD Varkath, grew heavy as the alien officers watched the screen in disbelief. The ghostly vessel before them had not moved. Yet their instruments showed something impossible. The unknown ship was scanning them back. At first, the readings were faint. A few flickers. A short pulse. But then, a steady pattern appeared, precise, deliberate, far beyond the scanning frequency of the Valari Dominion commander. Thrix's claws hovered over his control board as his voice trembled slightly. "Captain, the readings confirm it. The vessel is transmitting an active sensor sweep. It is targeting us." Captain Zarthan's scaled jaw tightened. "That ship has no power source strong enough for such activity." "You said it was dormant?" "I did," Captain Thrix replied quickly. "But something has changed. It's as if it woke up the moment we scanned it." The captain turned toward the holoscreen. The mysterious ship still floated silently against the backdrop of the nebula. Yet the lights along its hull, once dark and cold, now flickered faintly. It's like a sleeping giant slowly opening its eyes. Focus the cameras, Zarthon ordered. Thrix magnified the image. The bridge crew leaned closer as tiny, glowing lines began to crawl across the ship's outer armor. They looked like veins of energy, soft blue at first, then brighter with every passing second. Energy signatures rising, Thrix reported. Core systems are reactivating. Internal power grid online. Multiple subsystems waking in sequence. One of the young officers gasped. Sir, is it alive? Thrix frowned, unsure how to answer. Not alive as we understand it, but its artificial intelligence may still be operational. The captain's voice turned sharp. Are you telling me that thing has a functioning mind after centuries of silence? Possibly, Thrix said softly. And if that is true, it means this ship was never abandoned. It was waiting. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. For the Valari Dominion. Technology was everything, but even their greatest warships required constant maintenance and command. Nothing could survive alone for thousands of cycles. Yet this vessel, this Titan, seemed to defy that rule. The captain stepped forward, his golden eyes fixed on the image. What is it doing now? Thrix studied the readings. It is scanning us deeply, every system, every weapon. It is learning. Captain Zarthon's voice lowered. Can you block the scan? I am trying, Thrix said, claws moving rapidly across the console. But its frequency shifts every second. It adjusts faster than our systems can react. A pause followed. The hum of the engines sounded louder in the tense silence. Then slowly, the unknown ship emitted a pulse, not a weapon, but a signal. It rippled through space like a heartbeat. Thrix looked up sharply. Captain, it is transmitting. On what channel? All of them. The bridge filled with static for a moment. Then, through the noise, came a faint sound, a deep, rhythmic echo, almost like breathing. No words, no voice. Just presence. The crew listened, frozen. It's not language, Thrix whispered. It's testing our communication systems. Testing, Zarthon repeated. For what? For compatibility, Thrix said. It wants to talk. The captain's scales bristled. A machine wants to talk. Thrix nodded slowly. Not just any machine. A warship with intelligence. A human creation. The word human hung in the air. No one spoke. The legends of humans were scattered across ancient records, stories of a species that fought even when outnumbered, that turned every weakness into a weapon. A species that had vanished, leaving behind ruins and warnings, and now, for them, floated a relic of that forgotten race. Captain Zarthon broke the silence. Open a response channel. Let's hear what it wants. Yes, Captain, Thrix replied, activating the communication array. Channel open. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then, the static cleared. A single voice came through, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. Identify yourselves. The bridge crew froze. The voice was not robotic. It was clear, confident, and carried the weight of command. Thrix swallowed. Captain, that was a human voice. Impossible, Zarthon said firmly. Humans are extinct. The voice spoke again, louder this time. This is UN's Titan. Identify your species and your intent. The captain hesitated. He could feel every pair of eyes on him. Slowly, he leaned toward the communication console. This is Captain Zarthon of the Valari Dominion, he said cautiously. We found your vessel adrift. We come in peace. There was silence. Then, the human voice replied, steady and cold. Valari Dominion. Accessing database. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the alien ship's sensors flared. Thrix's monitors filled with strange symbols. Captain. It's connecting to our systems, hacking our archives. Cut the link. Zarthon shouted. I can't. Thrix's claws flew over the controls. It's inside our network. It's reading everything. A low hum filled the air as lights flickered across the Titan's hull. The glow brightened patterns of blue and white forming along its armored surface. Then the voice returned. Confirmed. Valari Dominion. Galactic aggressors. Status: hostile. The captain stiffened. Hostile? We have done nothing. The voice did not answer immediately. Then came the sound of heavy metal shifting, a mechanical groan that echoed even through space. The human ship's cannons began to move. Captain. Thrix cried out, "Weapon systems online? It's arming. All shields up." Zarthon roared. The Valari warship came alive, its protective fields flaring bright green. But even as the shields formed, Thrix's readings turned grim. "The energy output from that ship is incredible," Thrix said. "Captain, it's using a power core beyond anything I've ever seen." The captain's voice hardened. "Can we outrun it?" "Not if it decides to pursue." On the screen, the Titan rotated slowly, a silent mountain of metal turning its ancient cannons toward them. Thrix spoke quietly. "Captain, I think it knows who we are. It read our history. It knows what the Dominion has done." The captain's eyes burned. "Then we must show it that we are not afraid." He raised his hand. "Target its weapons. Do not fire, just show force." But as soon as their targeting systems locked, the human ship reacted instantly. A bright red line appeared across the Valari hull, a targeting beam. "Captain," shouted an officer, "it's aiming directly at our core." "Disengage," Zarthon ordered. "Shut down all weapons." Thrix turned, his voice shaking. "Captain, it's not firing. It's waiting. Waiting. Yes, it's observing our reaction. It's testing us." The human voice returned, colder now. "You approach a relic of humanity. You seek to invade what you do not understand. Leave now, or face consequences." The crew stood frozen. None dared to breathe. Captain Zarthon stared at the glowing ship. He wanted to speak, to demand answers, but words failed him. Every instinct told him this was not a battle he could win. Slowly, he said, "Stand down." "Reverse course." The helmsman obeyed. The Valari warship began to retreat, its engines glowing weakly against the dark. But as they turned away, the Titan's lights grew brighter, as if it was watching them leave. Thrix looked at his screens. "Captain, it's still scanning us. It's studying everything." Zarthon spoke quietly. "Let it. We will return with more ships." But deep inside, even he felt a tremor of doubt. Because the more they learned about this human warship, the clearer it became. This was not just a relic. It was a warning, and whatever it guarded in that silent void was not meant to be disturbed. When the VSD Varketh finally left the sector, silence returned to that corner of the galaxy. The human warship, Titan, remained in place, still watchful and glowing faintly in the darkness. Its systems hummed softly, like the slow heartbeat of something ancient and powerful. But the crew of the Valari ship could not forget what they had seen. Even as the stars passed outside their windows, every officer on board felt the same fear, the kind that no training could prepare them for. They had faced rebel fleets and plasma storms, but never before had a single silent vessel made their hearts tremble. Commander Thrix sat in his station, staring at the data collected during their scan. Every reading told the same story. The Titan was far beyond anything in the Valari archives. Its energy output, armor density, and weapon range all surpassed their understanding. It was like comparing a candle to a sun. Captain Zarthon stood behind him, silent. His golden eyes watched the flickering screens. "Have you confirmed the ship's origin?" he finally asked. Thrix nodded slowly. "There is no doubt, Captain. Its internal atmosphere, hull structure, and communication codes all match what little we know about ancient human technology." Zarthon's tail twitched. "So the humans were real?" "Yes," Thrix said. "Real. And far more advanced than we believed." The captain folded his arms. "Transmit all findings to the Dominion High Council. Use encrypted priority channel. No one outside command must hear of this." "Yes, Captain," Thrix replied. "But, if I may ask, what should we tell them?" Zarthon's gaze hardened. "Tell them the truth. Tell them we have found a sleeping giant, and it knows we exist. Several cycles later, deep within the shining capital world of Villar Prime, the council chamber stood in silence. The room was vast, filled with floating crystals that displayed rotating maps of the stars. In the center stood the High Council of the Dominion, 12 of the most powerful minds in their empire. At the far end of the room, Captain Zarthon and Commander Thrix stood side by side. A cold light shone from above as they gave their report. Thrix finished his presentation, projecting holograms of the human warship into the air. The model showed the Titan in full detail, its massive cannons, layered armor, and the glowing blue symbols carved into its surface. When the display ended, silence followed. Finally, one of the elder counselors, a pale, thin being named Sailtor, spoke first. "You are certain this vessel belongs to humans?" "Yes," Elder Thrix replied. "Its systems and architecture align perfectly with recovered records from the First Galactic War. The name Titan matches human naming traditions." Another counselor leaned forward. "And you claim it is still functional?" "Fully functional," Thrix answered. "It activated upon our scan, communicated in a human voice, and accessed our ship's systems in seconds. It identified the Dominion as a hostile empire." The chamber filled with uneasy murmurs. Elder Selter's eyes narrowed. "Then it remembers. It remembers what the humans fought against." Zarthon spoke firmly. "It did not attack, Elder, but it warned us to leave. It claimed we were intruding upon its domain." "Domain?" Another counselor repeated. "Does that mean there are more of these ships?" Thrix hesitated. "We do not know. But if this one survived, others may also exist, hidden or waiting." The counselors exchanged worried glances. The Villari Dominion had ruled the stars for ages, but the thought of an ancient human fleet sleeping in the void was enough to shake even their pride. At last, the High Chancellor, the leader of the Dominion, rose from his seat. His voice was calm, but heavy with command. "Captain Zarthon. Commander Thrix, you have done well to bring this to our attention, but this matter cannot become public knowledge. If the other species under our rule learn that humans still exist, it may spark rebellion." "Yes, Chancellor," Zarthon said respectfully. The Chancellor turned to the others. The humans were known for their defiance. They stood against stronger enemies and still prevailed. If even one of their weapons remains, it poses a threat to our entire dominion. Elder Sailtor frowned. "Then we must destroy it." "Destroy?" Thrix echoed, startled. "With respect, Elder, I doubt we can. Its power readings were beyond our fleet capacity. One warship could not even scratch its armor." "Then we send more," Selter insisted. "A full battle group. No relic of that race must survive." But the Chancellor raised his hand. "No. A reckless attack will only reveal our weakness. We must first understand what we face." He looked back at Zarthon. "You will return to the site. Observe the ship. Do not engage. We need to know if it acts alone." Zarthon bowed. "Understood, Chancellor. And one more thing," the Chancellor added. "You said it identified itself as Uns Titan?" "Yes. Find out what that means. Every symbol. Every code. If this ship is part of a larger network, we must know." The captain nodded again. "We will uncover its secrets." After the meeting, Zarthon and Thrix walked out into the crystal corridors of the council tower. The city below stretched in all directions, glowing towers, floating highways, and endless fleets docking above the horizon. The Dominion looked powerful, eternal. Yet both officers now knew the truth. All of this could crumble if the humans ever returned. Thrix walked quietly beside his captain. "Sir," he said after a moment, "do you truly think the humans are still out there?" Zarthon did not answer immediately. His eyes looked toward the distant stars beyond the city dome. "I don't know, Thrix, but that ship was not dead. It was waiting for something. Or someone. Perhaps it was guarding something," Thrix said thoughtfully. "A planet. A secret. Maybe even a weapon. Whatever it is," Zarthon replied, "I cannot face it alone." They entered the shuttle bay, where or a smaller cruiser waited to take them back to the front lines. Thrix glanced at the glowing datapad in his claws. "Captain, I've continued analyzing its scans. There's something strange. The Titan systems recorded our entire ship in under 3 seconds. It knew our weapon range, shield strength, even our crew layout." Zarthan turned sharply. "You mean it could predict our every move?" "Yes," Thrix said quietly. "If it wanted, it could have destroyed us before we even saw it move." The captain's eyes darkened. "Then we are lucky it chose to let us go." They stepped into the shuttle. As the doors closed and the engines hummed, Thrix spoke one last thought. "Captain, what if the Titan was testing us, not for war, but for judgment?" Zarthan looked at him. "Judgment?" "Yes," Thrix said softly. "It read our history. It saw our conquests. It called us hostile. Maybe. It was deciding if we deserved to exist." The captain said nothing. His gaze turned once more to the stars outside. For the first time in his long career, he felt small, as if their mighty dominion was nothing more than a shadow before the light of a greater power, and far away. In the cold silence of Orion space, the Titan stirred again. Its systems whispered through the dark, searching. It sent out another signal, weak, hidden, and aimed toward the distant stars. It was not calling the Veriler, it was calling home. Far beyond the Orion sector, the human warship Titan drifted in the cold void. For centuries, it had remained dormant, waiting. Its systems preserved by automated care routines programmed long before the Volari Dominion rose to power. It had seen the rise and fall of empires, the slow decay of stars, and the endless expansion of civilizations. But now, for the first time in millennia, it had awakened. The human crew no longer existed, or at least the original crew. Yet their legacy, stored in layers of AI and memory cores, was alive. Every protocol, every command, every instinct of humanity's warriors had been encoded into the ship itself. The Titan did not sleep, it only waited. And now, it had detected intruders, the Volari Dominion. Its sensors had scanned their ship, calculated their weapon power, mapped their shields, and even analyzed the intentions of their captain. Humans were extinct, but their vigilance had not died. A soft hum began in the hull as the Titan prepared a series of transmissions. These signals were not meant for the Volari. They were directed outward, deep into space, toward a distant blue planet Earth, humanity's origin world. The AI spoke in a voice carefully reconstructed from historicalhumanrecords.com. Deep and commanding. Message protocol activated. Target homeworld. Objective alert. Content threat detected Volari. Dominion expansion extreme caution advised. Inside the main data core. The AI accessed archived star charts, mapping the fastest route to Earth's planetary system. It calculated relay points among ancient satellites and space stations, ensuring that the signal would traverse thousands of light years in a fraction of the expected time. Meanwhile, back on the VSD Varkath, Captain Zarthan and Commander Thrix observed their retreating vessel. The Volari ship's sensors could detect faint energy pulses from the human warship. They were not weapons. They were signals, Captain Thrix said, his voice tense. It's sending out a transmission. Not toward us, but somewhere far away? Somewhere far? Zarthan asked. Can it reach the core worlds? It is possible, Thrix admitted. The human data protocols were designed for long-range communication. They could send messages across the galaxy. The captain's tail twitched. Then it is calling for reinforcements? Not necessarily, Thrix said carefully. It may simply be alerting its origin. A warning. An observation. Humans always acted strategically. They did not strike blindly. Zarthan considered this in silence. For the first time, the full scope of the situation began to dawn on him. If the humans are alive in any form, if this warship is still active, then the Dominion is not safe. Across the void, the human signal moved like a pulse of light through the darkness. It navigated through abandoned space stations, slipped past asteroid fields, and avoided the Volari sensor network. Millions of data points carried fragments of information, star coordinates, warnings, and a single repeated phrase: return. Humanity's legacy in danger? Back on Earth, scientists monitoring deep space signals were already perplexed. A strange pattern appeared on long-range receivers' energy spikes, unlike anything they had recorded before. The signals were fragmented, faint, and interspersed with anomalies, yet they were unmistakably artificial. Dr. Elena Reyes, lead scientist at the Earth Space Observation Center, leaned over the console, studying the incoming data. Her team had tracked cosmic signals for decades, but this one was different. "What is it?" asked a junior technician. Elena frowned. "It's a message. Something old, but structured. Not natural. And it's coming from the Orion sector." She tapped on the console, amplifying the signal and decoding fragments of the transmission. Lines of numerical sequences appeared, interwoven with symbols that seemed almost familiar, like a language half-remembered. "This pattern. It's too precise to be random," she said. "It has encryption layers, but it's designed to communicate. Someone wants us to read this." Hours passed as the team worked tirelessly. The fragments gradually coalesced into words, reconstructed from centuries-old human coding algorithms stored in the signal. And then the message became clear. "Humans of Earth, be alert. Volari Dominion expansion is ongoing. Threat levels extreme. Legacy of humanity requires vigilance. Act with caution. Further instructions will follow." Elena's eyes widened. This is impossible. Humanity hasn't had spaceships capable of interstellar communication for centuries. "Who sent this?" The technician shook his head. "It came from nowhere. The Orion sector. But the signal contains codes only a human system could create," Elena whispered. "It's a warning. A warning from humans themselves." Back in the Orion sector, the Titan monitored the response from Earth. It processed the fragments of return signals from the planet, analyzing every pulse. It noted the excitement, the confusion, and the rapid deployment of communication networks. The AI considered the Volari Dominion. Their ship had retreated, but the Dominion's fleets would surely mobilize if the human warship remained in the sector. The Titan ran simulations. Every possible outcome. It calculated Volari attack patterns, escape trajectories, and communication intercepts. Humanity had taught this ship to plan, to anticipate, and to respond with precision. Its systems activated defensive protocols. Energy shields hummed softly. Weapon arrays dormant for centuries rotated into position. Cannons and missile bays lined every surface. And yet no attack was launched. The Titan waited, observing the Dominion's every move. It knew one thing clearly: humans did not strike without reason. They waited, they measured, they responded. The Volari would remember that for generations. On Viewership Prime, the High Council convened again as the reports from Captain Zarthon and Commander Thrix reached them. The council chamber glowed with holographic images of the Titan and the Intercepted. Signals now arriving at Earth. Chancellor Vale stood at the center, eyes fixed on the display. "So it communicates across the galaxy, even without a crew?" "Yes," Zarthon confirmed. "It is fully autonomous, yet it carries the knowledge and protocols of humanity. It has seen our fleets, scanned our systems, and warned its homeworld. If humans were alive today, it would be a force we could not challenge." Elder Sailtor's voice shook. "Then we underestimated them. Entirely, not underestimated," Thrix corrected. "We ignored them. Humanity's reach may have been dormant, but it is not gone. This warship is proof, and it is capable of acting independently with incredible precision." The council fell silent. Outside the chamber, the city of Velar Prime glittered with the power of 1,000 fleets. But inside, every mind understood the truth. The galaxy held a threat they could not easily overcome. The Chancellor spoke again, his voice cold but firm. Prepare a contingency fleet. Do not engage the human vessel directly. We must learn, not provoke. If humanity still exists, even as legacy systems, it could change the balance of power forever. Back in deep space, the Titan pulsed gently as its long-range signals reached Earth. The message, reconstructed across millennia of technology, had already begun to change the course of human understanding. Scientists were working furiously to decode the full instructions embedded in the transmissions. Instructions that would one day allow humanity to re-establish its presence in the stars. Yet, for now, the ship waited. Silent, powerful, patient. Its sensors watched the Volari fleets regroup. It's a recalculating, planning, and preparing for the inevitable encounter. For centuries, humans had waited to defend their legacy. Now, even in absence, they had awakened a power the galaxy had almost forgotten, and the Volari Dominion would never forget. What they had seen, the warning was clear. Humans, even extinct, were not to be underestimated. The Titan rotated slowly, its massive hull catching the faint light of distant stars. Somewhere far away on Earth, a blue planet awaited the arrival of its forgotten children, and the galaxy held its breath. On Viola Prime, the capital city gleamed under the light of twin suns. Floating highways shimmered with the passage of ships, and the distant hum of fleet engines filled the air. Despite the apparent calm, inside the High Council chamber, tension radiated like a storm about to break. The Volari Dominion had never faced a situation like this. The existence of a human warship, fully operational after centuries, had shaken the pride of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. The message to Earth only confirmed their fear. Humanity's legacy was far from gone, and the humans had left a warning that could not be ignored. Chancellor Vale rose from his throne, his scaled hands resting on the crystal lectern. His voice cut through the murmurs of the council. We now know that the Titan is more than a relic. It has intelligence, it can act, and it has communicated with its origin planet. The humans may be gone, but their legacy survives, and it is dangerous. Elder Sailter slammed a clawed hand on the table. Dangerous. Chancellor, it is a weapon. We cannot allow a single ship to exist that surpasses our fleets. I say we strike immediately. Gather a strike fleet and destroy it before it grows stronger. Strike? Chancellor Vale's gaze hardened. And risk provoking a force we do not understand? That ship saw our fleet, scanned our systems, and judged us. You forget, even without a crew, it outmatches us. Direct attack could mean the loss of 1,000 ships. Sailtor's eyes narrowed. We have faced stronger fleets. This is not fear. This is strategy. We cannot let the humans rise, even as a single warship. Captain Zarthon, standing nearby with Commander Thrix, stepped forward. Elder, Chancellor, I have seen the ship myself. It did not attack us, yet it knew our every move. It can predict outcomes, adapt faster than we can respond. A direct strike may not succeed, Thrix added cautiously. The Titan's communication with Earth suggests intelligence and long-range awareness. If we act recklessly, it may trigger further human defense protocols we do not yet understand. The Council murmured in agreement. Even the most aggressive members understood the logic. Humans had been underestimated once, and they would not make the same mistake twice. Chancellor Vale held up a clawed hand. Then we plan. We gather intelligence. We do not attack blindly. Zarthon, you will lead a reconnaissance fleet to monitor the Titan. Observe, report, but under no circumstances engage it without explicit permission from this chamber. Yes, Chancellor Zarthon replied. Bowing. The council turned its attention to the holographic map floating above the chamber. Stars, planets, and fleet positions glowed softly. The Titan's last known location appeared as a small, blinking dot in the Orion sector. We must understand its capabilities fully, Chancellor Vale continued. Every weapon, every shield, every defensive system must be cataloged. Thrix coordinate with our research academies. Analyze the signals received on Earth. Determine what systems the humans still control. Thrix nodded. Already in progress, Chancellor. Our teams are decrypting the transmissions and running simulations. The Chancellor's gaze swept the room. The Titan is a warning, but it is also an opportunity. Humanity's war technology may hold keys to knowledge we do not possess. We must approach this carefully with caution, with patience, and with strategy. In orbit above Villar Prime, the VSD Varkath prepared for the mission. Captain Zarthon stood on the bridge, observing the fleet assembly through the viewing array. Smaller frigates and cruisers lined up in formation, all under his command. Even without immediate combat, the presence of these ships was meant to project power and gather intelligence. Helmsman. Set course for the last known coordinates of the Titan, Zarthon ordered. Aye, Captain, the helmsman replied. The engines flared to life, leaving glowing trails as the warship departed the planet's orbit. Commander Thrix stood beside Zarthon, scanning the latest intelligence reports. Captain, preliminary simulations indicate that one human warship could outmatch an entire fleet of our Class 9 cruisers. We cannot underestimate it. I understand, Thrix, Zarthon replied. We will observe. We will learn. But if it attacks, we respond with everything we have. Thrix frowned. Do you think it will attack? Zarthon's eyes narrowed. Humans never attacked without reason. The Titan warned us once, it may wait. To see if we repeat our mistakes, the journey through the Orion sector was tense. Every star, every drifting asteroid, every faint energy reading was analyzed. The Volari reconnaissance fleet advanced carefully, scanning for the faint signals that indicated the Titan's presence. Captain Thrix said, after several cycles, I am detecting faint energy pulses, consistent with its earlier transmissions. It is still active. Good, Zarthon said. Maintain a safe distance, but keep our sensors on maximum. I want to know everything it does. The Titan itself remained almost motionless. A shadow in the darkness, glowing softly with the light of its active systems. Its hull shimmered faintly as energy pulsed through circuits long unused. The Volari fleets. Scanners picked up traces of human energy grids and weapon arrays. The data was astonishing. Layers of adaptive armor, quantum shields, and energy weapons far beyond the Dominion's known technology filled their displays. Thrix whispered, Captain, it is preparing something. Zarthon leaned forward, his tail brushing the console. Prepare for observation only. We do not engage. Keep recording every detail. Back on Velor Prime, the High Council received updates from the reconnaissance fleet. Holograms displayed the Titan's systems in detail. Counselors gasped at the sheer scale and efficiency of human engineering. Elder Salter spoke first, his voice tight with disbelief. This ship, it is a fortress. Its weapons, shields, and sensors. Beyond anything we have ever seen. A single ship could destroy a dozen fleets. Yes, Thrix said, and it adapts. Every time our sensors scan it, it responds. Every simulation shows that direct confrontation is almost impossible. It is not reckless. It calculates, anticipates, and waits. The Chancellor's gaze hardened. Then we proceed carefully. Zarthon, report everything your fleet observes. Every pulse, every shield fluctuation, every weapon deployment. We cannot afford to underestimate this ship again. Yes, Chancellor Zarthon replied. Selter's eyes blazed. And what if it attacks first? The Chancellor's expression was calm, but his words carried weight. Then we will defend. But even in defense, we must be careful. Humanity's legacy is not something we can fight blindly. This is a warning we cannot ignore. In the Orion sector, the Volari reconnaissance fleet observed the Titan for several cycles. It remained almost motionless, yet every moment revealed new secrets. The human ship sent out subtle energy pulses, scanning distant planets, monitoring stellar activity, and tracking Dominion movements. The AI within the Titan processed every piece of data. It logged the Volari fleet's positions, shield strengths, and firing ranges. It ran simulations of engagement, evaluating outcomes without ever initiating an attack. The Volari ships recorded everything. their data cores overflowing with new information. Every pulse, every shield fluctuation, every adaptive response of the human warship was cataloged for analysis. Zarthon watched the display silently. "It is testing us, Thrix. It is seeing how we react, how we move, how we think." "Yes," Captain Thrix replied. "And it is far better at this than we are." For the first time, the Valari Dominion realized the truth. Humans were not just a race that had fought and vanished. Their intelligence, strategy, technology had left a legacy far stronger than the Empire could have imagined, and the Titan was only the beginning. The Council on Villar Prime continued to debate strategies, simulations, and possible outcomes. Each officer understood the stakes. A direct attack could end in disaster. Yet leaving the Titan unchecked might allow humanity's legacy to grow stronger. Threatening the Dominion for centuries, Chancellor Vale finally spoke. "Prepare reconnaissance fleets. Continue observation. Do not engage. And remember, we are dealing with a force that is not human in the way we know. It is a human legacy, a testament to their ingenuity, patience, and strategy. Treat it with respect." "Yes," Chancellor Zarthon said. As the fleets moved through the Orion sector, the Titan watched. It recorded, analyzed, and waited. Its systems hummed softly, energy pulsing through every weapon bay and shield array. It had already sent the warning to Earth. Now it watched, waiting to see what the Valari would do next, and the Dominion would learn a lesson they would never forget. Humans, even as a legacy, were not to be underestimated.